It's tax season, and at LifeLock, we know you're tired of numbers. But here's a big one you need to hear. Billions. That's the amount of money in refunds the IRS has flagged for possible identity fraud. Now here's another big number. 100 million. That's how many data points LifeLock monitors every second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it guaranteed. One last big number. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast for the threats you can't control. Terms apply.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Excuse me. Taxi. Okay, man, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
Rich Lowry, the editor of the National Review, joins me every week. Why? Because he's great. Rich, happy opening day. I know you're one of the biggest Yankee fans to come on this show. So are you looking forward, even though it's on Netflix and a West Coast game in San Francisco, are you looking forward to Yankees and Giants later on tonight?
Of course. Going to have to make a trek to the in-laws to watch it because we are not Netflix subscribers.
Wow.
But, it's better, Sid. I was listening to you talking to Hyman, and at the beginning of that conversation, it's better than when there were just 30 games on WPIX or whatever it was, and otherwise you either had to go in person or watch on the radio, or I guess you couldn't go to a bar. They just weren't on.
Right.
So,
right.
This is a disaggregated world we live in.
It is different. Let's get to the world events. Talking about a decidedly different world, and I guess it depends who you listen to. Some are saying now that J.D. Vance, who I was told by an insider, bothered Trump. He was a pain in the ass. He wasn't just like a stub your toe. He was a legitimate pain in the ass every step of the way leading up to this war with Iran. But I'm learning today that I guess J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio are basically doing the talking now and not Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff, because Trump is telling everybody that the Iranians are willing to bargain, and this thing is going to end very, very soon. What are you hearing?
I have no idea, Sid. All these things with Trump, it's like the old cliche about your advertising budget. I know you're wasting half your advertising budget. I don't know which half. So Trump is bluffing or BSing about half the time, but you never know which half. So it wouldn't shock me if there's a deal tomorrow. It wouldn't shock me if the war goes on another month. And I think a lot depends on just how easy they consider it to open the Strait of Hormuz. If we can do that relatively easily, then you're going to take away Iran's only real point of leverage. If it's really hard, you need an off-ramp. And I think it might be really hard.
Yeah, and Iran has said, listen, we're not talking and there is no communication, and we're not opening up the Strait of Hormuz. They may be speaking differently today, but that was their stance yesterday. I mean, it really is. It's crazy. It depends who you watch, what you read, because there's 90 million different stories about this war. I guess the one for me, America seems pretty divided. The last poll I saw, it was like 42-40 Americans approve of this. It may have gone down since then. I don't know. But are you okay with this war? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a necessary war. I think what we've seen from Iran, you can't have this terroristic regime being able to turn off 20% of world commerce, basically, or at least oil and a lot of other materials. You can't have them developing weapons that could, potentially reach Paris and eventually have a nuclear weapon on them. That's totally intolerable. So I think Trump gets credit for grasping the nettle here. That doesn't mean necessarily you had to do it 3 weeks ago. It doesn't necessarily mean you had to do it right now in this way. I think that there was more planning that needed to be done, and they did surprise us in their rapid escalation. So, and I just think it depends on whether you look at what we're doing into their missile capability and their military capabilities generally. We're wiping them out, and we have control of the skies, or you're looking at the global turmoil caused by the constraints in the straits, in which case they're playing a card that's hard to deal with. So, but if this ended tomorrow with anything like what is apparently the 15 points that we're offering to them, that'd be an extraordinary victory. But I don't think the Iranians are going to accept those terms.
I have a special interest in this war, I admit it, because the Israel are part of this. I've got a lot of friends, as you know, and I travel there often. My April trip has been postponed to June, but I love that country. I love Bibi. I love the Israeli people. And they're getting hit pretty hard. I mean, a lot of people have died in a lot of cities. These missiles are coming in 15, 20 a day. I had Johnny Daniels on yesterday. So for me, This is America first. Yes, I want to win. I want Trump to win, but I got to worry about both America and Israel. But my question is, for most Americans, especially Americans that are not pro-Israel, do they still care about this? Have they heard enough?
I think there's a reflexive hostility to Iran. I think most people understand this is a terrible regime born in a.
Oh wait, but let me ask. So the guy right now that has been online in an Atlanta airport for 6 hours trying to get from Atlanta to Chicago, you think he's got the stomach to hear about Iran right now?
I don't think he cares hugely. I think if it goes really well, he'll be fine with it. But he's not going to vote on it one way or the other, except for if it's a debacle. Then he'll vote against Trump and against Republicans over it. But most people, does it affect them such that it's a major voting issue in November? No. And I think just in realistic terms, this is all about just in terms of domestic politics, avoiding a downside. Because I don't think there's going to be any upside domestically for Trump. Even if he wins this thing going away. Now, I think that'll be a great victory for the United States, great part of his legacy, but I don't think it's a voting issue in November. Whereas if gas prices are still more than $4 in a lot of places, or God forbid $5 in November, he'll get whacked over it.
He'll get whacked, right. But, you said unless there's a debacle. What constitutes a debacle? I mean, the truth is the media, 95% of it are leftists. And they're already covering it like it's a debacle. Yeah. But people like me and you and Fox News and Trump, every Trump cut is, this is great. 1 to 10, it's a 15. So how do we even know what a debacle or a success is these days?
So I think the Times coverage in particular has been absurd. I follow their headlines pretty closely. I think there may be 2 positive headlines the entire war. Israel takes out Laranjani, and they have a negative headline about it. It's absurd. And the idea that this is a quagmire after 21 days or whatever, 24, 25, is also crazy. But a debacle would be, we can't open the Strait of Hormuz, and they won't open it no matter what. They're just like, we'll take the punishment, keep bombing us, we're not going away, and we're going to cause a global recession. that would be a debacle.
That could happen.
Even if we opened up the strait, but it requires a lot of military effort, guys on the ground, constant naval patrolling, and sort of low intensity conflict going on there for months. That would be quagmire-ish. But, is Iran going to invade Washington?
No.
And do a sweep to victory of the war?
No, we got bigger issues here talking about invasions. I get called an Islamophobe every week, and because, there's a lot of people coming into this country that don't represent American values and don't care to. That's one thing. Then you get the illegals who come here and, kill people. I had Donna Rotuno live in studio in the 6 o'clock hour. She's on Fox News a lot, almost every day. She's a Chicago girl. She does not live very far, in fact, from where this young lady, Sheridan Gorman, 18 years old, was shot in the back, gunned down, murdered by a Venezuelan illegal. And once again, Rich, instead of the Illinois politicians or Virginia, no matter where it happens, but in this case, Illinois, sympathizing with this 18-year-old girl and saying, maybe Trump is right. What are they doing? This fat, stupid governor, J.B. Pritzker, what a prick he is. Or this idiot mayor, Brandon Johnson, what a lowlife he is. Another socialist, by the way. They're talking about immigration reform. We're not letting ICE into this city. You got a beautiful 18-year-old girl dead, shot in the back. What does it take, Rich Lowry?
I know, it's so galling. And there's an alderman out there who just said, wrong place, wrong time. Really? Just walking on the shore, that's the wrong place. And there's some random guy who ambushes you and your friends and shoots you in the back. You're in the wrong place. He's in the wrong place, right?
Yes.
And they can never get that, just how terrible it is. Any crime is terrible. But when you have someone who never should have been in the country, who's arrested on another crime, now not a major crime, but arrested and isn't gone and killed someone, just how horrible that is to most people, just how incomprehensible it is, but they'll never get it because they have this hierarchy of people, the way they look at the world, and an illegal immigrant or an undocumented immigrant, as they say, is just a victim. So if a victim happens to commit a crime, you just can't compute. It's like the Muslim guys who threw the bombs in the city at the anti-Mamdani protesters. All the media kind of treated it as if the anti-Mamdani protesters had done something wrong.
Right.
From the bomb, because they can't process it. It's sick.